as lifestyle creep happens, which is normal, that it is making financial sense, that the math is mathing, because if it's not mathing, the next thing you're going to find yourself miserable and struggling financially. Hi guys, welcome to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Jennifer Nxumalo. I do hope that you join us by clicking that red subscribe button and join this family. But that is if you enjoy the content that we serve on this channel, and also if you have been here from the beginning showing me love and support. I truly appreciate each and every one of you. But also don't forget to smash that like button, because it does help with the YouTube algorithm. So on today's video, we are going to be doing something different that I haven't done on this channel, and I figured this is something that I would like to incorporate on my sit down videos, or basically on my content, especially financial content. So I came across this story on Twitter. Actually, it's my colleague who came across the story on Twitter and she shared it with me. So when she was sharing it with me, I was like, that we definitely have to discuss on our channel, because it is something that I normally talk about in this channel. I figured let me come here and actually talk to you guys about this case and, give you my thoughts. And also you can also share your thoughts on the comment section, if you actually saw the case on Twitter, and what were your thoughts when you saw it, or even if you didn't see it, you're just hearing me now, you're just hearing about it now as I'm talking to you guys. Please make sure to leave your comments down below, letting me know your thoughts, what you will do differently, and I will be posing those questions as I'm actually going through the case. So we're going to call it a case study, like when you are in school and you are given a case study, and then you're supposed to analyze it and also give your own views, or basically what you would do to deal with the situation. That is what we're going to be doing here. So let us go to this case. Even though I don't have Twitter per se, but I was able to get Twitter through Google. So I'm gonna keep referring to my phone here, because that is where I'm actually going to be reading this guy's case. There's a platform called Ask Refilwe. I don't know anything about that, but there's a platform called that. So this husband wrote to this platform, Ask Refilwe, seeking advice, financial advice. So this is what the case study says. Good afternoon, sir. You recently shared a picture where a boyfriend was overwhelmed with a home loan installment and he wanted to downgrade, but his girlfriend didn't want to downgrade. I'm in a similar situation, but I'm a married man and my wife won't let us downgrade. We have 2 cars, a house at an estate. Let me just open this bigger. We have 2 cars, a house at an estate with kids that are going to Curo. By the way, if you know Curo, how expensive it can be. My wife doesn't work and I pay $14,000 for cars, excluding insurance, petrol. My home loan is $18,000 for a 2 million bond. I have 2 kids that attend Curo, cost at $14,440, excluding extra activities. So that's like if they are part of sports or there's something happening at school, you have to actually contribute for those things. My wife says that if we downgrade, all her friends and family will think that we have failed and we will be a laughingstock of our community. I earn $60,000 after deduction. Cost of living is too high, plus fuel cost. At the end of the month, I'm only left with 500 rands after spending on groceries, fuel, and entertainment. So we're just gonna break that down, and we're just gonna nippies at this case study so that you guys understand as we actually discuss it. So this is a married man. He has kids that go to school. So where the kids are going to school, they go to Curo. So this is a private school, and the cost obviously in private school are quite higher than in public school. And yeah, so his kids are going to private school at Curo, and he pays $14,440 for these 2 kids to attend at Curo. I'm very curious to if someone has a child that goes to Curo, please comment down below how much it is per month, because I'm just curious if this is for the for the first term, or if it's just a month to month. So 14,000 divided by 2 would be how much he pays for each child. I just want to understand how much this is per child. It's 7,220 per child. That is if that is a monthly cost. Now, I don't know that, so I'm not going to take that as a fact. So if you know anyone that has a child that goes to Curo, or you have a child that goes to Curo, please let us know down below how are the costs. You don't have to share like if you are managing and all the stuff. Just tell us how much it is per month, because I would love to know. But I do know that it is a private school and it is on the pricier side, but I also do know that there are private schools that are more expensive than Curo. So I'm kind of shocked that that's how much they pay per child, if that's the case actually, because he says here, I have 2 kids that attended Curo and they pay 14,440. So that's the first part of this case study name. And then he also has 2 cars. So he has a wife, he's married, his wife doesn't work. They have 2 cars and he's paying 14,000 for the cars, and then he has a home loan of 18,000 on a 2 million bond. I can just imagine that this has went up because of all these interest rate hikes that we have been experiencing. I'm sure that he hasn't been paying 18,000 prior to COVID-19. So after that, guys, we've been experiencing a lot of interest hikes, and many of us are paying a lot of money right now on bonds. And actually, I envy someone who's renting at this point, because the money that we are paying on bonds is insane. So that's the case. So he gets paid 60,000, which, by the way, as someone who's never gotten paid 60,000, I can tell you that 60,000 is a lot of money. 60,000 is a lot of money. However, it depends on the person to person, situation. Given that this guy is married and he has a family and the wife doesn't work, this may not be a lot of money for them, because there isn't another income. But then there are other families whereby you find that there's a wife and a husband that are working, and maybe let's say a husband gets paid 40,000 and a wife gets paid 20,000. That still makes roughly 60,000, and they manage just fine. So I'm saying this because I do think that 6,000 is a lot of money. However, when you allow a lot of lifestyle crib to get along in the way, it will chip in that 60,000, it will make it like nothing. And that's the case for many of us. So I have points here that I just wanted to touch on, just to make sure that I don't ramble on, and that this video is as clear and precise and straight to the point. So the main issues that I picked up from the case study is lifestyle creep. As I said, for me, I feel like 60,000 is a lot of money. And if I were to get paid 60,000, for me, that would be a lot of money. But I'm talking about someone that has already figured out her finances. So by the time I get to that amount of money, it'll be easier for me to look at it as something, as a lot of money. And I know that you guys, many people don't get paid even close to that. And so when you look at that sum, you do think that that's a lot of money. So for me, what I picked up from this case is lifestyle creep. That thing that as we are growing in our careers of getting paid more and more, we feel the need to upgrade. And honestly, you guys, there are some things that you just cannot avoid. So let's say, for instance, before you were living in a township, let's just say before you were living in Mamelodi, or let's say for people that are in KZN, you were living in whatever, you were living in a township, and then you got a job, and as you were climbing the corporate ladder, you figured, you know what, I don't want to be in a township anymore. And there's nothing wrong with that. Let's stop villainizing people for wanting to leave the township, because at the end of the day, when you go out of the township, that's where you find better access to services. So there's nothing wrong with aspiring to leave the township. So obviously, you're going to pack your family, you're going to go and live in a suburb. And in a suburb, obviously, it's either you buy a house or you buy in a complex. Now, when you buy in a complex or in an estate, there are additional costs over and above the bond. So this guy is paying 18,000 on his home loan of 2 million. And that is not including the bond, like the extra cost of staying in a estate. So there are rates and levies. There's also water and electricity. All these things, they do add up. And so that's how much he's paying. So that on its own, moving from the place that you were staying it before and then upgrading because your salary has went up. That is called lifestyle creep. And as I said, there is nothing wrong with lifestyle creep. However, if you don't do your calculations right, you find yourself where this guy is at right now. And also another thing that I also picked up, 2 cars. So this person has a wife and the wife is not working. What are the 2 cars for? Unless the wife is hustling some way, like he's doing something on the side, she's doing something on the side to bring in income. But from the case study, judging from what is written there, because we can't assume the wife is not working, there's nothing that she's doing to bring in income. And I'm saying this from the case study, by the way. And so obviously I have no extra information besides what this man wrote on Twitter. So what are the 2 cars for? It makes no sense. So that is also part of lifestyle creep. And then another point that I picked up is no form of savings. Now, these people have 2 kids and it's a family, né? And it's a very dangerous place to be in, to have a house, cars, kids, and no savings. And obviously, I don't know, maybe he has insurances on the side, maybe he has education policies, he has investments on the side, but judging from what he says, he is saying that he is left with 500 after spending on everything, and he didn't talk about savings, like that he's putting any money aside for savings. And that is a very dangerous place to be in. And so that's also another case that I picked up. And it worries me when I see parents, they have kids and have no other form of savings on the side or form of investments on the side. Sometimes you don't even need a lot to actually start saving for your child. So you can even start with 500 rands per month. That money, it is going to grow. And here we're talking about over 15 years of a child being in school. And there is compound interest for sure. So by the time your child goes to varsity, there will be a sizable amount to give you a break for at least 2 years of your child being in varsity. And then on the 3rd year, you can figure out how you actually finish up paying the cost. Another point that I picked up is abantu bazothini. Now, this point, I once made a video about abantu bazothini syndrome, I think in 2019, close to the end of the year. And this is something that a lot of us Black folks struggle with. And sometimes we don't even want to accept it as a weakness, but it is a weakness of ours. And it's the reason why we are always falling backward when it comes to progressing in life, especially when it comes to building wealth. We can get paid a lot, but then when you look at that lot, there isn't anything that says you are building wealth. You look at your salary, you look at your life, you're not progressing positively forward. We struggle with that as Black people. Now, in this case, it is the wife that says, I'm not willing to downgrade, because if we downgrade, people are going to laugh at us in our community. And it makes me wonder, as a person who is not working, who is not bringing any income, how do you even have the decency to say abantu bazothini, as if you are the one who's also contributing in that life? And so I feel sorry for this husband, because he's in a situation whereby he wants to downgrade, he wants to cut on cost, but the wife is saying no. And sometimes you find that it's not even a family, it's just one person. And you see that you are really feeling the pinch. You see that you are really struggling. But you say, abantu bazothini, you don't want to downgrade because you are worried that people will laugh at you. I'm sure that many of you guys know Sims Right. She has a channel here called Sims Right. And she does entertainment content. I remember she shared a story of her and her husband, that when her husband started working, they did all these things. They stayed in the right place. They had this nice car and she was pushing for the nice car. But then came a time whereby the husband was feeling the pinch, and Sims was like, we are not downgrading because abantu bazothini. But eventually they realized that it was just too much. But it worries me when I see people make that decision because of what people will say. So those are the points that I picked up. Lifestyle creep, no form of savings, and also the worry of abantu bazothini. Now, what would I do? And I'm posing this and I want to know, what would you guys do? So I'm also going to tell you what I would do. So let us get into those things. The first thing that I would do, because there's the first hindrance here, there's a person who's busy saying abantu bazothini. Basically, get a financial advisor. Take us to a financial advisor. Sit in front of a financial advisor. We actually discuss our issues and all these, so that we make sure that they're ironed out and make sure that we are moving in the same direction. So that is what I would do. First thing, seek financial advice, both of us. If for me, I'm a woman, I would drag my husband there. We'll go to a financial advisor. We would talk about these things and say, okay, these are the challenges that we are facing. What would you advise? And I feel like sometimes when we hear advice from other people, we do open up our minds more than when our partners are talking to us. So that's the first thing that I would do. And then the second thing is I would sell one car. Like, there's no need for two cars in a household where one person works. Money that you're paying for installment comes back into the family. So that's another thing that I would do. Or if I don't sell the one car, I would rather downgrade it. There are many cars that are affordable right now, so that you can pay, where you can pay an installment that makes sense financially. So you would keep the one that is more on the pricier side, or maybe the one that is more on, that is for family, so that you know that as you are traveling as a family, you know that it's big enough for you. And then have another small one that is more so on an affordable side. I would sell it, or I would downgrade and get an affordable car. And then another thing is I would find places where I can cut cost. So many people still don't budget. And this may sound very strange, but the truth is many people still don't budget. They still don't sit down and actually look at what is coming, what is expected to go out, and then what is left. They still don't do that. And that's just the basics of budgeting, guys. So here, what I would do is I would actually sit down and look at my income in conjunction with everything that we pay for. Like, I would write down everything that we pay for on a month-to-month basis, and then I would see where I can cut costs. Now, I'm still going to do a video on how to write a budget. However, I just wanted to touch here. In your budget, there are variable expenses and there are fixed expenses. Fixed expenses are things like your subscription, things like your child's school fees, that is fixed, things that don't change on a month-to-month basis. And then there are variable expenses, things like your airtime, your entertainment, the things that just change on a month-to-month basis. They don't stay constant. Sometimes even water and electricity is a variable expense because it changes over time depending on how much you use. So what you want to do is, once you've drawn up your budget, what I would do is, once I've drawn up my budget, I would look at my variable expense. So it's better to do it like this. You actually have categories for each. You separate your fixed expenses from your variable expenses, and then look at your variable expenses and see where can you cut cost. So if it means that you buy less airtime, you do that. If it means that you actually decrease your entertainment, you do that. And also, when it comes to fixing your financial situation, you do have to get to a point whereby you make sacrifices and you put certain things on hold, just so that you can make sure that you free up some money big enough such that it makes a difference in your life. And so the variable expenses are the places where you need to cut first. You need to actually say, okay, these are the things that I'm willing to let go, or I'm willing to cut, so that I can free up some money. The last thing that I would do, which I feel like many people struggle with as well, is that as people are trying to cut costs, so this man can even sell the other car. He can cut some variable expenses and say, for the next 3 months, we are not doing anything for entertainment. We are not going to be involved because I want us to save money in this house. I want us to actually cut down on cost. But then you find that after they've done all of that, they actually don't channel that money towards savings and investments. Instead, that money gets taken by something else within the household. That is where most people struggle with. Like, they'll say, I want to cut costs, I want to do this. They'll cut costs, cheap things there and there. But then all of that money, they don't see it because they don't allocate it towards savings or investments so that they see the value of it. So after you've cut down costs, you have figured out that, okay, this is where I'm going to cut down costs, and this is going to give me a sum of maybe 2,000 per month. Take all of that money and invest it and save it. Things that I wanted us guys to note here is you need to start teaching yourself the habit of saving while you are in your lower income. I find that people want to start saving when they are on higher income, and that is very hard when you haven't taught yourself the habit of saving. Another thing to note here is that lifestyle creep is normal. I'm not gonna sit here and villainize people for actually having lifestyle creep. Damn, like even for me, I've experienced lifestyle creep, and it was necessary. I used to stay in a flat in town on a 1-bedroom flat, and I realized that I don't want to be staying in a 1-bedroom flat anymore, especially in town, because now I have a child. I need a more secure place. So I moved to another place where it was flat and it was a 2-bedroom. We're living comfortably there, but then I realized this place is just not conducive enough for my child, and so I found another place. And so you see, this is lifestyle creep. However, all these things were necessary. So my point here is lifestyle creep sometimes is necessary, however, it has to be calculated. The downside of lifestyle creep is you making all these changes as you climb your corporate ladder, but them not making financial sense. You only looking at the now. So it's very important that as you go through life and as lifestyle creep happens, which is normal, that it is making financial sense, that the math is mathing, because if it's not mathing, the next thing you're going to find yourself miserable and struggling financially. And so you need to make sure that whenever you are upgrading your life, that it makes sense that, okay, in the next 5 years, I'm still going to be okay with the decision that I made. Even if I may feel like, okay, maybe the decision was not good, but then financially, you know that in the next 5 years, it will still be okay because it is still well within your means and you don't feel like you are pinched financially. So those are the things that I just wanted to note here. So the last thing that I thought that we should do on this video that I think that will be kind of fun and also gauge other people's thinking. I'm going to read some of the comments that I see here on Twitter, people that commented below, Okay, I'm not going to read harsh comments or rude comments. I'm just going to read things that I feel like make sense, because Twitter can be very vicious. So someone says she doesn't love him. And honestly, when someone prioritizes what other people do, what other people think outside their house or outside their marriage, more than the peace of the person that they're married to, it does say a lot about how much they care about the peace of that person. Another person say, I'm warning my son against these types daily. Now, this is a mother for sure. So this is someone who's saying, well, I know that there are women like that, and I'm constantly warning my son to stay away from such women. But truth is, sometimes you can't see these things beforehand. You can't see these things, but you can see the financial behavior of someone, and you can tell how they are when it comes to money. And then someone says, when our salary goes up, our lifestyle also goes up. This is something that we just talked about. That is very normal for that to happen. It just needs to make financial sense. And then someone says, wow, abantu bazothini syndrome will kill us one day. And this is very true, guys. If you allow people outside of your life to actually dictate your financial decisions of your life when they contribute nothing, trust and believe that you are going to find yourself in a pinch because you allow other people to have a say over your life and your finances when they contribute nothing. So someone says, what's the second car for if the wife doesn't work? He can drop off the kids at school, pick them up after work, change the kids' school, and breathe a little while staying in the same place. Yo, abantu bazosixakekisa. Whilst I get this comment, but the whole part of changing the kids' school, especially if you're in Gauteng, is not easy for many people. So we do need to take cognizance of that. For Gauteng, changing schools right now is not easy. So once you find a school for your child, you are already celebrating, because getting a school in the first place is not easy, especially for parents that take their kids in public school. So I'm just thinking here, if you are changing your kids from a private school because you want to breathe a little bit. That means that you are taking them to a public school. It is not easy to get a good public school these days in Gauteng. So maybe this wouldn't be a viable option for him. But the other part of actually selling the car makes a lot of financial sense. And then another one says, shame men, what's the second car for? These are the marriages that aren't based on love. Well, you might find that that's actually not the case. As people, when you look at other people from the outside, we assume. We don't really know if this is a case of love or not. This is a case of someone who just allows other people to dictate their own decision. The whole part of abantu, bazothini. That's the case here, but it's not a case of love or not. Okay, I think that's enough of reading comments because this video is just going to be too long. I just wanted to share with you guys this because when I saw this case, when I heard about this case, I was just like, this is everything that I talk about on this channel, but it's more so on a practical sense because this is a real issue of a man that is struggling financially and the wife is refusing to see it, is refusing to see the struggle because many women are actually taught, and we are all, even we are taught that men are providers and we expect them to provide. But then there are women who then don't reason to a point whereby they don't see when a man is carrying too much. They don't see when a man is struggling and find ways to help out or basically ease the pressure. And so that is the case of this man. And I know that there's also people here. There are also people out here who are single. You find that you are single and you are raising your kids, but because of your reasoning capacity, you allowing other people to make your decisions, it affects you financially and you refuse to downgrade because you are worried about what people will say. And so I do hope that eventually as people, we can actually move away from that. It's a sad reality. It's a sad thing that it's the wife who doesn't work, who doesn't want to downgrade. The one person who brings no income in the house is the one who actually doesn't want to downgrade. That is the sad part, because it would be different if it was the husband who is working, getting paid the 60,000, saying, I don't want to downgrade because people have seen me rise and accumulate all these things. Now, if they see all these things go, what are they going to say? That will be a different story. But it is sad that it's actually the person who actually brings no income whatsoever in the family. Yes, she can bring value because being a housewife, is a lot of work. Even though I don't really know because I'm not a housewife, but I'm just thinking as a mother who works and who also runs a household, it is a lot running a household. But for then her to not be able to understand the position of her partner, to say, my partner is really struggling, let me allow him to make the decisions for this family, wise decisions for this family. It's really sad. So with that being said, I'm going to close off this video. I do hope that you guys enjoyed it and that you found it interesting. And as I said, do leave those comments down below. I want to hear your thoughts. Let us discuss it and let us see, man, like what are the things that you picked up and what are the things that you would do differently if this was you in such a case. With that being said, I'll see you on the next one. Please take care and stay safe. Bye.